Alright, well, I'm just waiting for the heat to get warmed up in the garage here. It's only 20 degrees out and I just turned the heat on, but I've been working on this panel for the around the wheel well. I'm trying to replace as little metal as possible. The body on the inner panel is all solid right up to this lip edge, and this is all solid up in here. I can totally see up in there. So I'm going to cut on the other side of that magic marker line so this butts together. And I'll weld that in. That's a couple of pieces. It was a little bit of a challenge to make. My dad was always the good one with the sheet metal, and so I'll get that. I got to weld or repair the inner wheel well just in this area here, and then this will be no big deal to repair. That will be much like this, and I got to weld the hole shut that where the other piece was screwed to it. This is all clean metal, so probably tomorrow or the next day this will be all done. I'm probably going to have to use a little filler on this, but no big deal. It'll be minimal, and obviously here too. So as soon as the garage gets warmed up, I'll start on that. There was one other thing I wanted to comment on. One of the tubers I like to watch is Cold War Motors, and he has a video on a Fraser that he got up and running and took out for a fall ride. And if you watch the whole video, you watch the end, he talks about why he does the cars and what he does with them. And I think that I kind of admire him for what he does and how he does it. I actually am going to do this car kind of the way he does. I have friends over all the time while I'm working on the car. We have a good time. It's a lot of fun. It's a social event working on the car, along with something fun to do in the wintertime when I'm not working. And I just really enjoy it. So I'll put the link to the video in the description. So if anyone wants to watch the video, I think you would enjoy it. It's towards the 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through when he talks about, or maybe towards the end, he talks about, the fun of doing it. And he just hits the nail on the head. Just watch the video and enjoy it. Again, the YouTuber is Cold War Motors, and I think he's in British Columbia, somewhere up in Canada, but he's just really enjoy watching his videos. And I'm going to put a link to his video in this video, and I think everybody should watch it and get an idea why I'm doing what I'm doing with this car too. Okay, I cut it out. This is the inner wheel well part I got to replace. This is like another panel up in this part of the wheel well, and this is all good, and they just use like a sealer and spot welded it here originally, and I'll probably just spot weld it through to there. But this is where I gotta repair the inner wheel well, is all this stuff here, and then I'll cut all this stuff out after I get this done. All this stuff will come off. You can see there's a heavy piece of steel here that this is the bottom of the quarter panel and rocker. I'll separate, and this piece down here is a separate piece from that piece. You can see the joint right there. I'll repair this piece after I get the piece on. I'll get this piece on, this piece on, this piece on, then I'll repair that piece when the piece out here is on. Well, the memory card filled up, so I had to change the memory card. But anyway, getting back to this, I hope I remember where I left off. If I repeat myself, sorry. But this is part of the old quarter, and again, you can see the heavy steel here, and that will be repaired once this piece is on. And I'll probably have to use some filler on here because, that's not as good as what I guess it could be, but it was a difficult panel to make. There's a lot of different lines in it, and that will fit. When I'm done, it'll just butt together and weld right at the joint. I gotta grind these a little bit and get them to match that, but it's coming along, and I got this piece to do on the bottom. I got all the underside all repaired. I don't know if this will shine up in here. No, it's probably just too dark. You can see the window track up there. Well, I got the wheel well patched. Still going to take a little filler, and tomorrow I got to pull a tire and weld the inner fender to the outer fender here. I replaced some of the inner fender. Doesn't really show up there. But tomorrow all I got to do is the piece here and then grind all the welds. I got to grind some welds there. And I'll probably, like I say, need to put a little filler in the panel here. This is all, none of this warped from the heat, so that's all straight. I welded all the holes shut. So tomorrow I'll get the lower part on, weld that up, and then the rust is pretty much well welded up on this side. Then it's just a matter of a little bit of filler. And obviously, you know, this will have to be all feathered out and sanded out and take that off. And, you know, everything will have to be sanded out that I'm going to paint. But right now I'm just getting the holes, rust holes repaired with new metal. I cut the old metal out and put new metal in. And it's coming along good. So that's a little bit of what I've been doing on the car. The inside of the trunk, I pulled the panel off, the cardboard panel. Everything's nice and clean in here. Doesn't really show because of the lack of light, and I don't feel like getting the light just to shine in there right now. And in the daytime I'll back it out one day, and when I have all the trunk out, when I go to repair the trunk, I'll back it out, open the trunk up, and get some good video inside all the trunk without any of the mats or anything in there, because I do have 3 fist-size holes in the trunk I got to repair. There's one hole in this back corner, and there's a hole in that corner and a little hole in that corner. And I did find out how the jack goes in here properly, so that's all installed correctly. But yeah, it's coming along. Tomorrow, like I say, finish up the welding and grind all the welds out, and maybe start with a little filler. I like to let anything 2-part like filler cure at least 24 hours before I do any sanding on it, so I can get a coat on, start working in the holes in the trunk, and then I can sand and get a coat on, work on the trunk some more, and, you know, kind of work back and forth, because, you know, it only takes a little bit to put the filler on. There won't be much filler in it, and very little, but I do want the fillers to dry 24 hours. I'll probably use like a Marglass or something like that to start, and then just use a lightweight auto body filler to fill little pits in it. The Marglass usually has little pits, doesn't sand out real nice. So yeah, it's coming along good. There was one last thing too I wanted to say. This piece that I put on here I made out of one piece, so it's bent this way, it's got to bend that way, it comes out, flattens out, has a little bevel, and then flattens out again, and all these curves. So that was a lot of work to kind of get that, but that's nice and solid. That's not going anywhere. And like I say, once I get a little filler in, especially to cover up the welds, I'm going to grind that out some more. I just kind of did a quickie rough grind on it. I did this too. And I'm going to paint the inner panel before as much as I can, except for down here. And then when I take this panel off to access the inside of the quarter when I go to weld it up, so if I get a fire going in there, I can put it out, and then I can paint and undercoat the inside of that area so it doesn't rust again. And just undercoating doesn't work. You got to paint it and undercoat it.